Hi guys, this is Maurice Glasman. I've covered him before on the channel. He's a member of the House of Lords. But he's also the founder of Blue Labour, which is a bunch of conservatives basically in the Labour Party. Now you're probably asking, why are there Tories in the Labour Party? And my answer is, I don't frigging know. But for some reason they're there, they haven't been kicked out, and they have significant influence over the leadership. Now, Glasman was on LBC talking about immigration, and he also talked about the use of drones to stop the small boats. Have a listen to this.
The use of drones on small boats is it to take the boats out? Is that what you'd want to use those drones for?
No, just to turn them back, just to say, look, you are not welcome.
So it would broadcast a message to the boats?
Yeah.
But they just ignore it?
Well, then you should have the Navy in the channel in order to block the boats arriving.
Once again, I don't like covering these things, but this guy and Blue Labour have influence over the government, over the Labour Party. So I think it's important to talk about these people. Unfortunately, we have to talk about these people. Okay, so he's mentioning drones. How would the drones operate? Well, they just go into the English channel and they would broadcast a message. I presume the message would be in multiple languages. That wouldn't really be a technical problem. But are you talking about military drones, or are you talking about commercial drones? Because commercial drones have a limited flying time. So I presume they would have to be military drones. Now, how much would this cost? You're spending a huge amount of money, because military drones are more expensive to operate than commercial ones, the ones you buy in, at your local store. The military ones, who's going to pay for this? How is there a budget for this? How much is it going to cost? And you've even admitted that it wouldn't work because the people would ignore them. Can you imagine a situation, okay? Military drone is flying over a small boat who's just left France. They're coming to Britain, and it's broadcasting a message, something like, we don't want you, go back to France. We're not going to process your asylum claims, go back to France, in multiple languages or whatever. What's going to happen on the boat? Do you think there's going to be a vote? Should we continue or should we go back because the drone is angry? Okay. What if the vote is against returning to France? And we just continue. Well, according to this guy, the next line of defense would be the Royal Navy. The Royal Navy. I've mentioned before on the channel that you'd need thousands of ships in the channel to stop the small boats if you could actually stop the small boats. And then we're talking about the Navy. We're not talking about border force. We're talking about the Navy. And how the heck is a warship, which would have to be brought from other parts of the world back to the UK to stop these boats, how can a warship stop a dinghy? And stop a dinghy safely? We have to try and go through these scenarios in our minds, because obviously Maurice Glasman hasn't. A dinghy arrives in British waters, English waters, and a warship comes out to meet it. What can the warship do? Harass it? And then what's the risk then? If it harasses the small boat, if it's able to do that, there's a risk of sinking. And then under the laws of the sea, the Royal Navy would be obliged to rescue these people. And then where would they go? Would they go back to France? Of course not. They would go to the nearest safe port, which of course would be Dover or somewhere in the UK. That's the reality of the situation. So you want the warship to harass these people, risk their lives, eventually have to take them on board and take them to the UK. So what's the point of having the Royal Navy deter them in the first place? And once again, even if they didn't sink the small boat, if the people refuse to get on the ship, then you will have to accompany them to the shore. And of course, the nearest shore would be the UK shore. See, I hate covering these things because Blue Labour should be irrelevant. But unfortunately, Blue Labour has a significant influence in the Labour Party. Why is there a Blue Labour? I honestly don't know. They're basically Tories in the Labour Party, influencing the policy. Talking about using drones in the English Channel, using the Royal Navy in the English Channel. These are right-wing talking points. This is the sort of thing you hear from Reform UK. Why is this guy a member of the Labour Party and not Reform UK? Or even the Conservatives at this stage? Maybe this is the reason why the Labour government today is taking a hardline approach when it comes to immigration. They think if we can out-Farage, we can win back voters. Maybe they're taking advice from this guy. Well, if they are, they need to stop doing that, because all they're doing is driving more voters into the arms of Nigel Farage. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.